Hi, N.A.R.C troopers. I am here on Mother's Day, sending you a message today. Mother's Day 2020. We're in the middle of a global pandemic that is changing the landscape of everything, all kinds of stuff going on. But I want to talk to you about, during holidays like Mother's Day and things like that, we reach out to friends and family and talk to them. And sometimes conversations don't always go how we hope that they will go. And I also want to talk about how a lot of times, when you have people recovering from abuse, from relationships with narcissists and sociopaths and psychopaths and other people with personality disorders, the aftermath of that is pretty rough, right? And we reach out to people. That's just what we do. Because we need people, we need support, we need someone to listen to what's happening and to help us. So when we do that, there's a tendency to overshare. There's a tendency just to have word vomit shooting out like projectile style because there's so much to tell. You're feeling so much, and there's so much intensity of those feelings that it's hard not to just dump all that onto people. And so I have come up with a suggestion, a protocol for what I recommend that people do in order to avoid having bad things happen in these conversations with people. So when you reach out to these friends and family members, if you can set some boundaries and some parameters, it's going to protect everybody from misunderstanding, from burnout, from feeling overwhelmed. A lot of the people that you may try to talk to, these friends and family member, they may have no idea what you're talking about or what you're going through, because that's a common phenomena. If you haven't been through it, you don't really identify with it, and you just don't get it, and so you don't understand. There's a tendency that people have to want to try to fix things, to problem solve, to make everything better and okay, when in reality, all you really need is someone just to listen to you, let you talk to them and tell them what's happening. And just to have someone hear you is really the most valuable piece there. You're not expecting them to problem solve anything or help you or do anything in that context. You just want to have someone listen to what has happened. A lot of times when you say things out loud, you hear yourself saying things and you have epiphanies. You have sudden realizations that you didn't know until you heard yourself say them. That's why we pay therapists. That's why it's so important to do dialectical journaling and talking, where you're speaking and you're hearing and having recognition as you go and all of that kind of stuff. Awareness and is part of that too. So what I suggest that people do is that they come up with a protocol, something like a safe word, and you get the people that you think are going to be part of your tribe for your recovery, and you sit them down and you say, listen, we need to come up with like a safe word. And when you feel like what I'm saying is too much, it's too intense, it's overwhelming, it's like something you can't handle and it's triggering you or stressing you out and you just can't do this, instead of having something really bad happen, let's just say snickerdoodle, farfanugan, whatever word, chimichanga. Come up with a word that you're just going to insert that in the conversation, and then that's a cue. The cue to pivot and shift. And so then okay, cut it down, cut it off. There's no discussion, no apologies, no awkwardness, nothing. It's just when you hear that word, just say, oh, okay, so how about the news? How about this virus? Did you hear this? Or, hey, what are you having for dinner tonight? Are you cooking? What are you making? Any good recipes lately? Or, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to shift and talk about like the weather. What do you think? It's going to get really hot pretty soon. And how's that going to be? What about those electric bills? Or something like that. So that word, that safe word, is the cue to stop, because you have to know when to stop, and it's hard to know that. you're telling something and you feel so intensely about it and so emotional about it that you're just going and going and dumping and dumping, and a lot of people can't take it. At the beginning of what I have gone through, the people that I thought were going to be there for me, some of them, they couldn't be. It wasn't because they didn't care about me, I don't think. I think it was because it was too much for them. They just couldn't do it with me. And it was awkward. It required some awkward conversations about things. And if we had just established these boundaries and parameters on the front end of it, then it wouldn't have gotten to the place where they felt so overwhelmed and burnt out with what I was trying to talk to them about. I had a friend tell me about 2 months in, she said, I just can't hear this anymore. I just can't. She said, it's painful, it's triggery, it's causing me to have some of my issues come up, and I'm not sleeping, and it's just really stressing me out. She said, it's like you're on fire. And I know I've shared this analogy before, but it's such a good one. She said, it's like you're on fire, and if people get too close to you, they're going to catch on fire too. And it's going to be really painful, and it's not going to end well. And so I get that completely. Yeah, I was on fire, running around with my hair on fire, couldn't put it out. And the faster I ran, the more the flames hurt me, and they were a danger to people around me too. You have to realize that and respect that's not, like everybody can't hear this. It's pretty awful stuff. And some people just can't deal with that. They don't know what to do with it. It's too much. So that's my recommendation for today. On this Mother's Day 2020, is that when you start these conversations, when you're in recovery, you have recently, you are recently apart from your disordered person that has in this abusive, traumatic relationship, and everything is crazy upside down, and it's just like unimaginably unlike anything that you've ever experienced, right? And you want to tell somebody, you need to talk to somebody. And when therapists are charging $130 a pop just to listen to you go on and on, it's really helpful to have those people you can call 24/7. Like at 3 o'clock in the morning, you feel like you're not going to make it. You're having panic attacks, and you need a voice on the other line at the end of that phone. I called crisis hotline 2 or 3 times a week for a couple of months, and that got me through, to have that voice on the other end. And I said, I'm not, I can't hurt myself. I'm not thinking about doing that because I can't. I have children, and they would never, it would be cursing them and hurting them more. And through this relationship with this person, I've hurt them enough, so I can't do it. I can't. Even if I want to just disappear and make the pain stop, I can't. So I'm not at risk of that. They always ask you that. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. But I am distraught. I am having a meltdown. I am having a panic attack. I feel hopeless and helpless. And please talk to me for a minute. And it worked. So be careful who you talk to and what you say to them. It's really hard not to overshare beyond what they're capable of hearing. And you want so badly to put it out there and tell somebody, oh my God, look what he did to me or what she did to me. And that's not always you got to have the safe word, I think. I think that would really help. And just, you're going along and all of a sudden, chimichanga. And nothing is said, no apologies, no discussion of why can you not, just nothing. You hear the chimichanga, zip it and start talking about something else. Then people will be there for you in ways that they wouldn't be if you just kept going and you're just killing them with this stuff. Then they're not going to last. They're going to burn out, and they're not going to be able to support you in like you need them to do. So let's keep this in mind, and let's remember that during this time of quarantine and social distancing and all of this kind of stuff, I think it's super important to use the time alone to really work on ourselves. The key to everything is in here. The key to everything, to recovery, has to come here, because you're not going to get closure. It's never going to make sense. This is crazy madness, what has happened. And if your person was a disordered person with a personality disorder, cluster B, I guarantee you it's not going to end the way you want it to. And you can never have what you need to have. You have to go in to find it. You have to go inward. So let's remember that. And during this time when we're alone, let's work on that inner stuff, that inner child. Let's talk to her. Let's comfort her or him. And let's make that inner child feel safe, and let them know moving forward, you're going to protect them, and you're not going to let this happen to them again. You're not going to let this happen to them again, and they're going to be safe. And just because crazy may feel familiar, because maybe you grew up in it or something like that, does not mean that you have to stay crazy because it's familiar, or choose people that are crazy because it feels familiar. I get that more than anybody else, because that's my story. And so I really understand that. That resonates with me. But let's just keep in mind, you have choices, and you can change that. You can stop it. Sometimes I want to say to my inner child, stop being afraid. Stop with the abandonment issues and the attachment issues, and stop with the trauma and the complex trauma, PTSD, and just sit down over there and take a deep breath, and I got you. We're going to be okay this time. No more crazy people. No more, of that. I know now what I have to do, and I promise I'm going to do it. So just stop already. I just sometimes get impatient with my wounded child part of myself, and I can't always, sweetheart, honey. So let's gather our tribe. Let's find our support. Let's put limits, boundaries that will keep them sane and keep them there for you in a limited and respectful way. Let's work on ourselves during the time off, and work on our inner selves, build ourselves up, our identity, our independence, our peace, our self-love and respect, self-respect, and all of those things that we need to get together. Let's work on that. Stop thinking about the person who hurt you. Yeah, you need to understand it. You need to research that. I don't know where you are, what stage you're in with your recovery. And there is a period that follows this where you do have to read about it, learn about it, study it, and just, it's like a full-time job trying to make sense of it. But when you get to that point, I'm going to say on an average of 3 to 6 months later, and this is assuming that you had a long-term relationship with your narcissist psychopath, 3 to 6 months later, you're going to know most of what you need to know if you aggressively research this. Once you know it, the shift needs to go to you. And if you can't do it in 6 months, maybe 8 months, maybe 10 months, but at some point you have to put that down and stop thinking about him. What is he? How did he do this? Why did he do this? Let me get an explanation for this. Oh, that's why. Well, it's his amygdala. It's his prefrontal cortex. What difference does it make? They're gone. And you have to build a life for yourself. And this is how you do it. You keep the support close to you by respecting boundaries and setting expectations for the conversations. And then you work on yourself. So let's go do that. Let's try to do some of that self-work. And to all of you who are mothers, happy Mother's Day. And if you're the child and you have a mother and you haven't reached out, even if you don't get along, even if there's horrible history, and even if there's a lot of crazy making, even if your parent is a narcissist, send them a text, and then you've done your part. You don't have to talk to him. You don't have to see him. Send a text, happy Mother's Day. End of the day, right? You have to take care of yourself in every way that you can. So that's my message for today. If you want to read more stories or hear more stuff, podcasts, see more videos, go to my website. It's narctroopers.com, because we are NARC troopers, narcissistic abuse recovery collaborators. We are collaborating. Send me an email. go to my website, follow me, talk to me, tell me what you need. We're going to get through this together. This is not a highly edited, polished thing. This is raw, unscripted, unedited, honest, just person who knows what they're talking about and who's going through it herself. That would be me. I'm talking about me. So mask up. If you go out, do it. Come on. Let's think about others and let's have a good week and stay safe, stay healthy, and I will talk to you soon. Okay. Much love to all. Bye.